はい。
Welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Yuzuru Hanyu is my emergency contact, the FanyuFanme podcast. The time has finally come to talk about Prologue. At the time of recording this episode, we are mere days away from Prologue in Hachinohe. And staying with the new Fanyu theme of, I can't keep up with Yuzu, I figure I better say what I have to say about Prologue in Yokohama before it's time to say things about Prologue in Hachinohe. Because even if the content of the show stays exactly the same, raise your hand if you highly doubt that will be the case, there will still be new things to say about Yuzu after Hachinohe. Let's be honest, there will always be new things to say about Yuzu. Period. In fact, when I wrote the blog post featured in this episode, Portal to Yuzu, it ended up being so long that I started referring to it as my prologue thesis. And who knows, by the time we get through this weekend in Hachinohe, it may get an updated title, My Prologue Thesis. Part 1.
せーの。
Portal to Yuzu. On November the 4th, while much of the world slept, Yuzu changed everything. Prologue was beyond anything we could have imagined. Though, trust me, we had tried. Remember how Yuzu had all those journals he wrote notes in, with his multicolor pen, about his skating? I bet he has 1, 2, 27, full of notes from all his SNS lurking. And it's no surprise that Thesis Drop Yuzu took exceptionally detailed notes. Turns out, while we thought we were posting random things we love about Yuzu, we were actually cultivating a Yuzu wish list. For Yuzu. Because he gave us so many things he knew we would miss once he stopped competing. The jacket removal, the 6-minute warm-up, Pooh-san, though we're still holding out for the reunion with original Pooh-san Yuzu, the bottle of colored water, the official competition introduction. Lucky thing he pulled out draw tile number 1 in the prologue draw, or that could have been embarrassing. I mean, he even blew his nose for us, and he probably didn't even need to. But he also gave us things we never knew we needed. Reading the names of colors. I could listen to Yuzu speak Japanese forever and ever and ever, but I had no idea what just hearing him say the basic colors could do for me. The skating backwards while talking, it was like he was flirting with us. Just try to pay attention to what I'm saying instead of what I'm doing, ganbate. Who else was, even more than usual, riveted by watching Yuzu take off and put back on the water bottle cap? Anyone? And yet, I found myself fearing we, myself included, might seem ungrateful when commenting amongst ourselves, though don't forget, Yuzu is in all the rooms with us now, about the other things we want to see. I worried Yuzu might think I gave you 9 Yuzu programs, image mapping around Yuzu, Yuzu question answering, choose your own Yuzu adventure, a limited edition line of Yuzu merchandise, and you weren't happy with the direction I combed my Yuzu hair? I even blew my Yuzu nose for you when I didn't need to. But it isn't about us being ungrateful. It is about Yuzu having such an unbelievable body of work. Didn't think I was going to add that of work part, did ya? That keeps us Fanyus wanting more. Let's face it, there is an endless list of things we are crazy about when it comes to Yuzu. Speaking of crazy, I can't imagine what it must have been like ordering the inventory of Prologue official goods. How many can we sell? All of them. But how many exactly? all of them. So we should produce as many as can be made, we will sell them all, and we will still have a waiting list into 2035. Days before sales started, aka Merch Bloodbath Day, I spent a good amount of time trying to become World Shopping Certified, or at least informed enough to be dangerously capable of purchasing anything I clicked on. It was so complicated that I think there may have been an option to actually purchase Yuzu. Gosh, I hope I accidentally ordered 3 of those. But this was nothing compared to what I have previously described as ticket lottery rocket science. If getting a Prologue hoodie seems complex, just try getting a ticket to the actual show. When the instructions and security filters were released, it looked like maybe only Yuzu's mom was going to be qualified to attend. And I think we can all agree that we wouldn't blame him for that. But you just better check your own gloves, Yuzu. Even Pooh-san was sitting in Toronto looking at the Prologue website and thinking, Shimata, I should have had Yuzu leave me a burner phone and a credit card number. But back to the official goods. I can't be the only one who kept window shopping at the Axel store. Good one, Yuz. I loved how Yuzu wore a different version of the Prologue shirt on the second day. I like to imagine the merchandise team saying, Hey Yuzu, we sold out of the white t-shirt. Can you wear the black one tonight so we can sell out that one too? In fact, could you wear the Let Me Entertain You keychain around your neck instead of your feather necklace tonight? Can we strap a couple of the tumblers to your skates? At the end, when he was looking for the microphone, I half expected the stage manager to say, Oh, sorry, we thought you were done with it. We sold that too. Which is totally fine. I would set up a lemonade stand on my street and sell drinks for a nickel if I thought it would help Yuzu. But it wouldn't be a post about Yuzu performances if we didn't talk about the hair. Surprisingly, it wasn't until Haru Yokoi that I had a realization. Yuzu's hairstyle wasn't changing between programs. This realization may have come late because Haru Yokoi needs natural, wispy Yuzu hair. But what could he have done? It's not like he could go backstage, wash his hair, restyle it between programs, and come back 20 minutes later. Then again, we would have waited. In fact, this is the perfect place to insert a special message to Yuzu. Please do not ever add any other skaters into your shows. Who am I kidding? This isn't a special request. This is a plea, a down on the ground begging for all the Fanyus who didn't get to attend Prologue. Please let all your shows be one-man ice shows. There is only one man we want to see, and that one man is you. We will happily wait through multiple intermissions so you can rest. We'll even leave and come back, or bring a sack lunch so we can only see you and no one else. If we have to, we will bring sleeping bags. Oh, that brings back certain memories. And while we're talking about being down on the ground begging, I think it will surprise no one that I have to take a moment to fully appreciate the return of Romeo and Juliet 1.0. I have made my Yuzu program preferences quite clear, to the point of people sending me RNJ 1.0 bouquets from the Yuzu's flower shop, and messaging me that they thought of me the moment Yuzu skated that program. And given my first thoughts when Yuzu skates that program, I know that takes some serious FanyuFanme favorite reinforcement. This will always be my favorite program. Not for all the obvious moments of brilliance, but because of how it makes me feel every single time. I am certain that watching Yuzu perform this live on the Continues with Wings broadcast was when I completely, wholeheartedly Cupid's arrow Elmo swoon gif fell in love with him. Yes, he demanded my attention in Sochi. Yes, I remembered him when he arrived in Pyeongchang. And yes, who didn't declare him their new favorite human after his second gold medal winning Seimei performance? But it was 2018 RNJ 1.0 when Yuzu reached through the TV all the way from Japan, grabbed my heart, and said, "Watashi no mono desu." There has never been a more beautiful, emotional version of the story of Romeo and Juliet performed anywhere, on any stage, by anyone since Shakespeare wrote it. You've heard the phrase, burst into tears. I know what it means to do that. When I see RNJ 1.0, I burst into tears. And it always catches me by surprise, even though I know it's going to happen. Yuzu looks at his hand, I burst into tears. Yuzu grabs his own wrist, I burst into tears. Yuzu touches his face, I burst into tears. When he finished the program at Prologue, did anyone else hear whimpering sounds and wonder what it was? Probably not, because it was me sitting alone in front of the TV in my apartment, which is a completely unfair distance from Pia Arena in Yokohama. I just have to say one more thing about RNJ 1.0. For the love of the vial of poison, stop cutting away when Yuzu goes to his knee for the quintessential RNJ 1.0 moment. Okay, now I will move on, lest this become a thesis on RNJ 1.0, which I had actually considered writing from all the journals of notes I took with my multicolor pen. Right after RNJ 1.0, Yuzu had the nerve to hit us with his new program, Itsuka Owaru Yume, all while we were still trying to recover from the final look he gave the ice after RNJ 1.0, just found that note in blue. I think our souls were the tiny piece of ice he dropped at the beginning of Dreamy Aspirations. Thanks for picking us back up again, Yuzu, before completely leveling us again. I mean, I'm still crying about Yuzu in the center of the white ring at the end of this program, which is yet another program in the long line of clutch your heart Yuzu programs. If you think the show version is tragically beautiful, just imagine UA Yuzu practicing it alone in the middle of the night at Ice Rink Sendai. I'm sorry, I should have kept that to myself to weep about. Sadly, we did have to imagine a lot during this program because we could only see teeny tiny Yuzu from the third balcony during much of the broadcast. The few close-up shots, paired with what we already have permanently ingrained in our memories of Yuzu's cooldown routine, gave us just enough to fill in the blanks of what Yuzu was doing amongst all the imagery swirling around him. Though we may not have seen it up close, we knew Yuzu was emoting his ass off. And in Hachinohe, I hope we can actually see it. The emoting, not the, you know what I mean. I imagine a pre-show conversation with the Fanyus going something like this. We are going to bring in an amazing designer from the Rio Olympics. Great. We want to see Yuzu. And there's going to be beautiful projections on the ice. Great. We want to see Yuzu. And it's going to be unlike anything you have ever. Great. We want to see Yuzu, Yuzu, Yuzu. I want to see the choreography he did himself. I want to see him when he dips his head and turns during Haru Yokoi. Ugh. I want to see Yuzu feel. I know I'm not alone. Not wanting to hurt Yuzu's feelings about the image mapping gift he gave us, I held off on commenting about the lack of close-up Yuzu-ness we saw in some of his most iconic programs. But it wasn't long before I saw, as usual, my fellow Fanyus were having the same thought. They started as offhand comments, but graduated to tweets proclaiming, "There should be unlimited cameras from every direction focused solely on Yuzu." I love when the tweets start coming in all caps. It adds to the level of desperation. In typical inventive and resourceful Fanyu fashion, Fanyus started taking footage from the Prologue broadcast and splicing in close-ups from news coverage to assemble the most complete Yuzu-focused version of Yuzu's new program. They gathered them like McDonald's Monopoly board pieces. I still need 1 minute 43 through 1 minute 49 to complete the set. And you win way more than a lifetime supply of French fries. Then again, I'm not sure we could have handled Itsuka Owaru Yume from up close. I think it had to be given to us in small doses, or our hearts would have fractured into 1,000,000 pieces instead of the clean break into 2. But we're prepared now, Yuzu. We can take it in all its close-up beauty. At least, we think we can. So please give us Boardwalk in Hachinohe. I knew Prologue was going to be one epic ride, but I don't think I had prepared for non-stop Yuzu. I think I should have been training for this. For one thing, you cannot eat anything while watching Yuzu, especially if it can melt, for multiple reasons. Back in the days of Fantasy on Ice, you had roughly 2.5 hours to snack during the other... Fill in whatever kind word you want to use to describe the other skaters, because none of the ones I could think of were particularly kind. Remember when we would watch a 3-hour ice show for a combined 8 minutes of Yuzu? Remember when the camera would cut away to a non-Yuzu? But now, we can all just pile into Yuzu's house, and he has the best furniture and plays the best music and has the best snacks. By the way, I can't believe they didn't sell gyoza and hot chocolate at the Pia Arena concession stand. Yuzu has created a space just for the Fanyus. As with share practice, the next day, all I wanted to do was get back to spending time with Yuzu. You don't feel like you are going to watch TV or a movie or even an ice show. You are going to a place to spend time with Yuzu. When the workday is over and you sit down on your couch, the thought is, I want to go be with Yuzu. Well, that's always the thought, but you know what I mean. With Prologue, Yuzu has created a portal that transports us to him no matter where we are in the world, and while we are there with him, nothing else in the world matters. There were many times during Prologue when I thought the audience could have left and been happy. After Seimei, after Change, after Yuzu tried to find the camera for the live viewing theaters, heck, I could have just heard him say,
グリーンですね。
and left happy. But here's the most important thing. Yuzu is happy. The cycle has been broken, Yuzu. No more skating and then getting kicked in the teeth by idiotic, biased, blind, underhanded judges. Now it's, you skate, we love you, you skate, we love you, you skate, we love you even more. That's how it always should have been. Not, you skate, we love you, you get mistreated, we try to convince you we still love you, you have to do it all over again. The day after the show, I couldn't help but wonder if every other Fanyu was feeling like I was. Happier, because I just felt like Yuzu must be happy too. In fact, at the very end of the show, after Yuzu's signature shout,
ありがとうございました
he gave a final look to the arena full of blue, glowing, overflowing Fanyu hearts. I'm sure there were a million different thoughts going through his mind. I can't believe they turned all the Bengal lights blue. I hope I sold out the black shirt. Next time, I'll just keep the microphone with me. But most of all, I would like to think that twinkle in his eye was because he thought, I think this whole professional thing is gonna work out.
完成です。
In episode 1 of season 2, I introduced a new segment called Hayaku Fanyu. As predicted, Yuzu hasn't slowed down, so I already have a new batch of Yuzu events to address. Aside from, that small event we know as Yuzu's one-man ice show. So here I go with another attempt to give myself 30 seconds, and no more. Gosh, sometimes it's hard. To comment on each new gasp, laugh, or swoon Yuzu has given us since the last episode.
早い。
The glorious return of the Red Apron. When the Yuzu in Red Apron 2.0 photos surfaced, one Fanyu tweeted, "Has anyone checked on FanyuFanme to see if she's okay? You all know me so well." It's like Ajinomoto said, Ghana doesn't want that anymore. We'll take it and slap a panda on it. But let's give Yuzu a more complicated recipe, like turducken or croquembouche. We need these videos to last longer than 1 minute and 36 seconds. That should get us at least 27 yoi shows. Oh, and he sold out saran wrap! The 1 minute exercise. Yuzu said in a recently released Towa interview that he exercises in the morning, if for only 1 minute. Good one, Yuzu. Well, it seems to be working for him. Or as my sister said, it's just not fair how some people can be slim without doing anything. I think we're all pretty sure Yuzu isn't spending hours at Ice Rink Sendai just hitting up the vending machines. The fake Prologue YouTube channel. There's no way Yuzu could have 2 YouTube channels, right? Luckily, we learned our lesson and went from report, it's a fake and not a Yuzu, to chotomate, maybe it really is Yuzu. Let's give him a minute. It used to be, obviously this isn't Yuzu on Twitter, obviously Yuzu didn't misspell YouTube. Now, we just tell ourselves maybe Yuzu is busy and hasn't had time yet to tell us this is real. And to that, Yuzu says, "Thank you very much for your understanding." Yuzu's latest Japan station takeover. Once again, Yuzu has overtaken transportation stations in Japan, and once again, I have to question how anyone managed to arrive to work on time. "Why were you late?" my boss would ask, to which I would answer, "I'm sorry, I was hugging a station pillar in Nagoya and I lost track of time." And if I passed the brand new ad featuring hoodie and tennis shoes-aroo, I would simply have to quit my job. Gray Square merch. When the Axel store announced it would sell photos of Yuzu from Yokohama, I rushed to the shelves to find not 1, but 2 sets of gray squares with white question marks on them. Do we know which photos these will be? No. Do we know which costumes? No. Do I still want both sets? Heck yeah! Congratulations, Yuzu. This is one of the vaguest things you've managed to sell out so far. I'll put mine with my other prized possessions, a black paper cup, a hard hat, and some Japanese saran wrap. Questions for Yuzu. You kind of have to wonder if they really needed to ask for more questions for Hachinohe. Couldn't they have just pulled a few from the 120,000 they received for Yokohama? I guess maybe the options could get a little limited when every other question is, "Will you marry me?" But surely someone other than me asked Yuzu something. And that concludes another edition of Hayaku Fanyu.
早い。
But before I saran wrap up this episode, there is still one thing that I promised to talk about in the last episode, yet haven't mentioned since. The red glove. Fanyu's. It is just one glove. And it just happens to be red. And it was one of the greatest things ever! A photo of the day 1 Yokohama change costume flashed up on my TV when my mom and sister were visiting, and I kid you not, they both made this exact sound at the same time. Ooh. What is it about this glove? Could it be because it is masquerading as another certain single red glove we loved so much? But more importantly, why did we only get it for one night? Maybe it was hotter than the black glove. Maybe it got snagged on the ice. Or maybe he didn't check his gloves before it was too late to go on. Gomenasai, Yuzu, but I'm going to make that joke every chance I get. No matter the reason, I'm glad we got it for one night. And maybe, just maybe, we will see its return in Hachinohe. Whoa. While we count the minutes until Prologue's return, really, it's minutes, I'm barely gonna make it. And Yuzu double checks which gloves he packed. You can follow FanyuFanme on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Redbubble, YouTube, home of 2 Yuzu YouTube channels, or FanyuFanme.com, where I'll be waiting with my multicolor pen to take notes for my prologue thesis part 2 and wrapping Yuzu's birthday presents in saran wrap. I promise that's the last saran wrap joke. Who am I kidding? I can't make those kinds of promises. Until next time, say it with me, Yuzuru Hanyu. The FanyuFanme podcast is a Back to the Forest production.
Back to the forest? Just kidding.